Okay, the rings might be a problem. I wanna fly down and feed at his hand. I might not be able to wear the glasses during this. I want a nice soft place to land. So I recently watched the new Jurassic World movie with my cousins, and this is going to be relevant to the title of this video, but I recently watched the new Jurassic World movie with my cousins. I wouldn't have watched it left to my own initiative, but it was a cousin's birthday, and you know, I wore a mask to the movie theater, etc. I found the movie profoundly irritating for many reasons, not the least of which being the protagonists kept surviving things they shouldn't have, and at a point, if the movie isn't interesting enough and the protagonists are surviving unbelievable things, I kind of check out because internally I'm like, no, they died like an hour ago. There's no, this isn't happening anymore because they died an hour ago in my mind. But there were some cool moments, and I have a respect for the fact that the movies respect themselves so much. They play the moments where the new Jurassic World characters meet the old Jurassic World characters with such epicness, like, oh man, these beloved new characters meeting the beloved old characters, and I'm over here like, I don't think they have really a following, Claire and Owen. I don't think that they, But I like that the movie acted like they do. It's what I wish Star Wars had done for Rose. Just treat her like she's deserving of respect because she's your character. Yeah, I don't like Chris Pratt's character. I was rooting for him to die the whole time, but I respect the fact that you act like I should care that Chris Pratt's character is talking to Jeff Goldblum now. But more relevant to the topic of this video, one of the things that frustrated me about the new Jurassic World movie is the way that Blue is, the dinosaur Blue, the raptor Blue. I didn't unearth this as one of the things I was discontented about until I was in the car with my cousins after the movie and we were talking about the things we thought about the movie. One of the things that just sort of came out of my mouth with regards to how I felt about the movie was, I feel like the characters should be friends with Blue by now. In the first Jurassic World movie where it's like, oh no, we can't trust Blue because at the root of it, Blue is still a dinosaur. Sure, Blue imprinted on Owen, but Blue is still a dinosaur. She's not your dog, she's not your friend, she's a dinosaur. That's great, that makes sense, I get it. Second movie, she's been going through a lot, so I understand her having some wariness with regards to the human characters. This one, though, I feel like we should be friends with Blue by now. I feel like Owen shouldn't have to go, whoa there, girl. Like, no, we've been through 2 adventures together, Blue. I'm gonna need the benefit of the doubt from you. I also felt like Blue should be smarter.
At the very beginning of the movie, there's a scene where Blue is hunting, I think it was a rabbit or a deer, some cute little prey animal. For sure, I saw that, like, pretty much exact scenario in Breaking Dawn Part 2. I'm just going, can we just let the dinosaurs eat cute animals? Why do we have to, like, I don't appreciate that we feel more sympathy for the rabbit or the deer or whatever it was than we feel for the thing that ate the rabbit or the deer or whatever it was.
More to the point, though, I kind of wish that Blue was setting traps and, like, doing snares and showing that she's an intelligent dinosaur instead of just hunting like anything hunts. But we're focusing on the previous point, though. That was just kind of me getting some Jurassic World stuff off my chest because I'm not gonna make a video about Jurassic World. The we should be friends with Blue by now thing is very similar to what I felt watching season 3 of Umbrella Academy. Greetings and salutations, beautiful humans. That was a pretty long lead-in, wasn't it? Yeah, so what I just said about Blue in Jurassic World, I have similar feelings about the Hargreaves siblings in the Umbrella Academy series. In season 1, I get why they're kind of abrasive with each other. It's about their childhood, I get it. Season 2, they're learning how to form connections with each other. I get that. This season, I don't expect their trauma to be healed, but I want them to want to hang out together. By the way, spoilers for, like, I didn't finish watching this season of Umbrella Academy because I started getting frustrated and I was like, hey, I think I'll be happier if I don't finish watching this, and then I didn't. I might still finish watching it at some point, but for now, I'm happy and haven't finished it. I got to the point where 5 is about to get a tattoo. When season 2 of Umbrella Academy ended and they, you know, show up and, uh-oh, the Umbrella Academy is now the Sparrow Academy and Ben is a whole different guy. When that happened, my first thought was, oh, it'll be cool to see some new characters with powers. And my second thought was, oh no, we're gonna fight them, aren't we? We're gonna have a thing where instead of communicating the situation and their thoughts and what's happening, they're just gonna fight because for some reason they can't have conversations that make sense. And honestly, that should be something that, like, I resigned myself to in season 1, but I'm just so tired of it. When they got there and they're all confused, my first thought was like, hey guys, you don't think that changing the timeline maybe changed the future? They're really slow on the uptake and I don't understand it. 5, you travel through time, you know that stuff can change, right? When you get there and you see that you're not on the wall anymore, you gotta assume he raised different kids. Why are you like, come on guys? Let me tell you what really gets my goat about this season, okay? Because episode 1 made me so... Okay, listen. So they get there, they're not communicating, instead they're just saying, we live here, no, we live here. And it's like, guys, just say that you came from the past to the future. Like, just tell them any information to make it make sense what's happening, because as far as they're concerned, you just walked into their house and started saying you live there. You gotta tell them information. But they don't know how to do that. They just get progressively angrier, and I'm like, I understand that it makes sense character-wise that conflict resolution skills aren't things that you acquired in your childhood, but I would like one of you to have picked it up at some point so that we can not go through this. But then, like, Spit Girl spits on Diego, and this is where the show really hurt me, because Luther's, you know, walking up on their number one, and their number one is walking up on Luther, and it's like, you want to go? Yeah, let's go. Let's do this. And then they start dancing, and I'm like, oh, good. We're not gonna fight. We're just gonna have a little dance battle. And after the dance battle, we're gonna say, oh, we both knew the whole dance to Footloose or whatever. So that means that we must be siblings, because only someone raised in this household will know the whole dance to Footloose or something like that. And Five starts dancing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Five is dancing. All the characters are having fun. That's so great. And then it cuts back, and it's like, it was a vision. That hurt me. You don't understand how much that hurt me. I was watching the show with my parents, and they were like, haha, how funny. And I was genuinely upset. I was like, no, we're actually gonna fight? This is so frustrating. They had showed me exactly what I wanted, and then they took it from me. My hopes had gotten so high because I had gone into it with low hopes. Okay, they're probably gonna fight the sparrows. They're probably not gonna know how to communicate. It's gonna frustrate me. I'm used to the show frustrating me. Let's go into this. It's fine. But then they do the dance battle, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're gonna actually, like, talk and just convey what's happening to each other. And then they took that away from me. And I'm sure that's, like, me as a viewer. I should have been like, obviously that's a hallucinogenic sequence. Why would you think that's really happening? Because the show's silly. It's a silly show. Sometimes they do silly things. I had hope in my heart, okay? I let hope into my heart. I didn't mean to. So that hurt. I feel like that was supposed to be like a fun and funny scene, but if the characters didn't actually do it, then why am I supposed to feel good about it? In season 1 of Umbrella Academy, when all the characters are dancing, that's fun because they're actually the characters and they're actually dancing. Like when you pan out, you see the whole house dancing separately to the same song because, you know, they all have a song in their hearts or whatever. Like, that's good. It's a nice, cute moment because I actually see the characters doing it. If you show me a dream sequence where the characters aren't actually in character, then all I know out of that is like Aiden Gallagher had a fun filming day. Not that Five is willing to dance and be silly with his siblings sometimes. And like, I'm happy they had fun on set. I'm glad that they got to, you know, have a fun filming day where they dance around the set and stuff, but that's not like, that's their fun day. I'm watching someone else's fun day. It's like if my friend showed me a video of them and their family dancing, it's like, oh cool, I'm glad you guys had fun. I can't really, like, I don't have a vicarious investment in that, but that's cool. So that was the first thing about this season of Umbrella Academy that hurt me, was that they faked me out and made me think that they were gonna communicate. The Allison thing is, of course, what really just absolutely hurts. In season 2, I was enjoying that we got to kind of see Allison and her siblings bonding. There certainly wasn't very much of it in season 1, but in season 2, like, oh, Allison and Klaus got to greet each other by the pool, they hugged each other, Klaus got Allison out of jail. I think there were like 2 separate Tumblr posts where I pointed out, first of all, that it's weird that none of the other siblings had to do anything regarding the civil rights movement or even think about it. I don't know, it just feels weird to be like, okay, Allison, you're gonna handle the civil rights movement, everyone else do separate stuff. It's just like, hey, you guys could also fight for people's rights? No? Okay. And then I also made a post about how it's kind of funny that Klaus got only Allison out of jail and nobody else, and it's like, you could have just said release the prisoners. But this season we really just inflict so much suffering on Allison and just watch nobody care. Victor kinda cares, and Diego, I guess, does his best by saying, hey, let's fight some racists, but we never see Allison get the kind of support that Victor gets. There's a fun little thought piece on that on Tumblr. The siblings learned in seasons 1 and 2 they need to be better siblings to Victor. They didn't learn that they need to also show that kind of care to each other and like to everyone else. They only learned that Victor needs to be defended and protected and cared for and offered affection. They didn't learn that about any of the others. First of all, with regards to the Allison arc, the whole time Allison's like, I gotta go see Claire. Internally, I'm just like, Allison, why do you still think Claire exists? If you know that you didn't live in this house, why does your brain not go, oh man, since I didn't live in this house, I didn't have the same childhood, didn't grow up to be a famous celebrity, didn't marry the guy, and didn't have the kid, like why didn't that train of thought go to completion for you. I guess that's kind of an across the board thing, is that none of the characters seem to go, okay, if this is true, then this must also be true. They just kind of clamber their way to, oh, I guess this is true, and then fully stop. Like, they never take anything to a conclusion once. They get a piece of information, they process that information, and then they fumble their way to the next piece of information, and like they don't push anything forward ever. Like, even if Allison doesn't go, oh man, I guess Claire doesn't exist now, it seems like someone in the family, at the very least, I need someone to exchange glances like, there's no way Claire exists still, right? Like, I need somebody to acknowledge that it's obvious, because it's obvious. I was even sitting there like, am I supposed to think that Claire still exists? Like, am I supposed to be like, oh man, Allison gets to reunite with her kid? Because obviously she doesn't. I think that if you're the writer of this, you must know that that's obvious. So why are we like taking so long, like having Allison say, oh, I'm gonna go see Claire so many times? Are we supposed to, is that supposed to be like building dread? Because I was dreading it. I was like, oh no, we're gonna have this scene where Allison's gonna get sad. And yeah, she got sad. She broke into somebody's house, in fact. I'm glad that didn't have repercussions, though. I'm glad she broke in the house and they were like, hey, you're scaring our kid. And she was like, oh, I'm so sorry, I gotta go. And it was fine. I'm glad that didn't become like, she didn't get sent to jail or something. I'm glad of that. But her kid fully vanished and none of her siblings like really cared. They were just like, oh, Allison's bummed that her kid's gone. Yeah, she is. She had a child and the child was wiped from existence. Guys, can you care a little? Like, a little bit? When she had her dream about Ray, her husband from season 2, I genuinely said out loud, do not show me Ray unless we're going back. We better go back and see Ray again. I need to see Ray because I love their relationship and it hurt. But that was the kind of hurt that I was fine with. That was just me being stubborn. It wasn't me actually saying, don't show me Ray, that's a genuine complaint. No, that was just me saying, oh, that hurt. That was you being effective at storytelling because you hurt me. This is probably not framed very well. There we go, much better. I enjoyed Lila this season. I enjoyed her well enough last season too, but the moment where she rumored Allison, I've probably conveyed pretty well that I'm protective of Allison. But yeah, when she rumored Allison, that felt like a party foul to me. It's fine when you're jumping through space and time with 5, because that's just, you know, that's basically like a sword fight. You're just both using the same tool against each other. But rumoring Allison, that feels like a party foul. And also, I've always been frustrated with the use of Allison's power in the story, and this season naturally made me even more so. And if you've seen the season, you kind of know why, but let me get to it by first talking about season 1. In season 1, her whole thing is, oh man, I can't rumor people anymore because I rumored my kid and that was wrong of me, so I gotta stop rumoring people totally. Then she kind of gets back into the habit of rumoring people, especially when she's mistreated in season 2. She's like, okay, I guess I gotta rumor some racist. You know, you get it. As a viewer, you get it. And season 3 combines like the worst of both seasons. Like, it combines the Allison never uses her power when it's useful in season 1 and I haven't seen the end of season 3, so if she does something cool, then sorry, I'm talking about the beginning of season 3. And she uses her power maliciously of season 2. It was fine in season 2. I enjoyed it in season 2, but they use it in season 3 in bad ways where it's like, yeah, let's have her commit sexual assault against Luther. And as early as season 1, when they had the little montage, not really a montage, but when they had the audio overlay, remember that scene where she's driving in a car and she's thinking back to all the times she used her rumor power to alter her own life, and there was one line in there that was, I heard a rumor you love me, and it's like, oh no, the fans are gonna use that to say that she like sexually assaulted someone or something, aren't they? And I was like, hey, let's not assume that that's what it's about. And then in this season, they go ahead and double down on that, where it's like, no, now you're on some WandaVision crap, please, no. Speaking of, obviously, if you're a Wanda stan, then you don't get to say crap about Allison because she's not reached outside the bounds of what Wanda has done. Like, you don't have to like Allison if you're a Wanda stan. That's often what gets conflated, is that people are like, oh wow, if I don't like this character, I'm racist. Like, no. If you talk crap about a character for things that characters you like have done, then you need to examine why that is. I'm not policing whether or not you like them. I could. The characters who you form an attachment to do have implications on like what you look for in a character, what you relate to in a character, and what you are repelled by in a character. So like, some people are just repelled by blackness in a character, and that doesn't like, sorry, that's something that you feel and you need to take stock of. But I'm not gonna tell you your business, take inventory on your own time. I'm just saying, if you're in the fandom spaces spilling crap about Allison, then look back to your reaction to WandaVision, because it's the same thing. Anyway. A lot of my problem with this season is pretty much all of the characters having such I don't want to hang out with you vibes towards each other. I love seeing Klaus and Five go on a road trip. I love that Five wants to see the ball of twine. That's great. I love that Victor got a haircut. I'm glad that Victor's siblings are supporting him. I'm glad that the characters aren't constantly freaking out about the high stakes, but the season served exactly all the things I didn't care to see from the Sparrows. I didn't care to see them fighting the Umbrellas for no reason. I didn't care to see Luther get a girlfriend. The very moment that Luther and Sloane made eye contact and were like, oh, hello there, I was just like, oh no, Luther, honey, I don't care. I like Luther well enough, but I don't care about his love life at all. It's fun to see him kind of bumbling around, and it's kind of cute how he and Sloane have conversations and stuff, but like, I don't care is the thing. I would enjoy seeing scenes of Luther hanging out with his siblings, or pretty much that. I would enjoy seeing Luther hang out with his siblings. I wouldn't enjoy seeing a scene of Luther learning how to make an empanada by himself. That's about the same level of investment with Sloane, because we don't know Sloane, and Luther doesn't know Sloane. There isn't like a lot being fed into the relationship to make me care about it, so I may as well be watching Luther make an empanada by himself. I don't know why empanada was the first food that came to mind. I haven't been eating empanadas today. I had nuggets. They were good. Well, they were okay. I'm full though. Remember how the Tumblr fandom for the Avengers, like in 2012 through 2014? Did Age of Ultron come out in 2014 or 2015? I think it was 2015 actually. But basically, remember how between 2012 and 2015, the Tumblr Avengers fandom was pretty much entirely, ooh, the Avengers have a game night. The Avengers all live in Stark Tower together and they have, you know, they have fun. And then the movie Age of Ultron came out and it was like, they're fighting and they're angry at each other. And it was just like, okay, sure. And I'm not saying that the Tumblr fandom is the only place where people who care about the thing are. Like, there's lots of people who are like, yes, I love seeing the Avengers fight, who weren't on Tumblr. I'm just saying that's the kind of dissonance that I have towards the Umbrella Academy, where I'm like, yeah, I love that scene where, you know, Klaus and Allison are in the pool, or Klaus and Allison and Victor are, you know, dancing in the hair salon. I love the scene where Luther and Five are talking about how Five has the doppelganger psychosis or whatever it's called. I would much rather see more scenes where they get to bond and care about each other instead of being like, I can't wait to get away from you guys and live my own life separately. Like, no, hang out, be a team, be friends. I feel like we should be friends with Blue by now. I want a friendly dinosaur on the team. Sorry, I'm back to Jurassic World. Why can't we have a dinosaur friend? Just one dinosaur who's our friend, and then the other dinosaurs don't like us, obviously, and they're trying to eat us, but Blue is like, you know, our friend. I don't want to keep seeing Owen going, hold on there, Blue. Like, stop doing the hand thing. Let's just hang out with Blue. You get what I'm saying. You're with me on this. You agree with me. In season 2, they definitely, like, some characters said something with regards to Victor's power where they kind of said or implied that Victor was the most powerful out of all of them, and that irritated me a great deal because I was just like, you haven't expounded on anyone's powers. Five can jump through time and space. I think that's a pretty good power to have. Woo, blow up the moon. Okay, I'm just gonna not be here then. I'm just gonna be somewhere else. What now? Nothing now. Most powerful by what metric? Allison literally warps reality. I don't know if anything of note happened with her power at the end of season 3, but at the beginning of season 2, she said, I heard a rumor, I blew your minds, and heads exploded. So it's not just a mind power, it's definitely a power in which reality is being warped. They just refuse to let her use her powers in any useful way because they know that if they do, they can't really have plots anymore. Because the moment Five walks in going, guys, the world's ending, she can be like, I heard a rumor, it's not, and we're good. I know that that's why you're doing it, and you know that's why you're doing it. So if we both know that that's why you're not expounding on Allison's power, then it's fine. Just don't expound on Allison's power and don't act like there's a hierarchy of powers. Like, more powerful than Luther? Sure. Luther just basically has super strength, I guess, and like, it'd be nice to expound on his power too, like super strength, like, come on, give Luther something other than a girlfriend. Diego's power seemed at the end of season 2 to be just like control over projectiles, which is kind of awesome. Like season 1, he was just like, hey, I'll throw the knife and the knife will curve in the air. He didn't use that enough either, because like there were times where he was standing with his back to the wall because someone was over there or something, and it's like, oh man, now I'm helpless. No, throw a knife that way and it'll go that way. What are you doing? He never uses his power. None of them use their powers for anything useful. Klaus spent so much of season 3 going, oh man, I wish we knew how our mothers died. Like, can you talk to ghosts? Remember how you can talk to ghosts, Klaus? Lila is the only one using her power, and honestly, more power to her. Like, Victor's power is just breaking stuff, right? Like, Victor can make sound waves destroy stuff. Like, Victor makes a noise and then stuff explodes. Victor can explode the moon and destroy the world. Sure, fine, great. 5 can rewind time. In a similar vein with the Luther and Sloane stuff, the fact that there's a scene where Diego and Lila are in a room and the secret passage opens and they're like, oh well, let's not notice that. Let's instead go and, you know, go hit the sack, and like they're doing their thing over there, and I'm just like, okay, I know that that's supposed to be frustrating. I know that's deliberate, that it's like, oh no, I wish they had noticed that secret passageway, but I'm just, it's so angering that I'm like, I wish we weren't spending time on this at all is the thing. I wish that we didn't spend any time on this. And I guess that's my ace showing, but it's just like, I don't want any time to be spent on what's happening right now. If you're gonna not notice the thing, and that's, you know, supposed to be a deliberate, frustrating moment, fine, don't notice the thing. Do something else though. Do something that matters. Don't just like, do that. Like, why? I'm gonna have to watch the end of the season, aren't I? Because if I don't watch the end of the season, then I'm just gonna be sitting here in these feelings and I'm not gonna have any closure on. I'll bet there's not closure at the end of the season. Why am I acting like it's gonna make me feel better? I made one post that got some weird reactions where I said the scene where the family overreacts to one cut on Victor's face really shows the degree of protectiveness that movies and shows can have with regards to white pain. And I cited the fact that, oh, Harlan did a power thing that accidentally made a cut on Victor's face. And yesterday, all of them saw that Harlan can explode people's heads, so I was saying, why are they reacting like, oh, Harlan did that? As if Harlan didn't blow up heads yesterday. And the people responded like, probably because Victor's their sibling and the people whose heads he exploded weren't their sibling. And it's like, yeah, I'm not saying they needed to mourn the people whose heads exploded, guys. I'm saying that they have no reason to be shocked that Harlan made one cut on Victor's face. Like, 5 inflects it like, Harlan did that? Like, this is unprecedented. Like, he blew up heads yesterday. We know what his power can do. I assume this was accidental. My thought is, oh, he can blow up heads. That was probably one of those accidental power firing things, like happens all the time because we're people with superpowers. I guess my thing there was that was a scene in which Allison, Diego, and Victor were all visibly injured, and Luther was asking all of them about their injuries. Like, Luther was like, hey, what's up with you guys? Hey, what's up with you? He asked all of them. There seemed to be more concern for Victor. Maybe I'm just projecting and saying, oh man, it feels like he's more concerned for Victor than for everyone else, but I really feel like that was conveyed. Allison can walk into a scene with a bloody nose and like just kind of general blood on her, and people be like, oh, what happened? And Victor walks into a scene and is like, whoa, what's this? What happened? Harlan did that? And it's a whole thing. Like, it's a whole thing when Victor is injured, and Allison's pain isn't treated the same way. Allison's injury was very much matter of fact. And that could be because, you know, the fact that she was beating up racists was supposed to be a comical thing. So she walks in bloody and he's like, what happened? So we can have a cutaway gag to her beating up racists. Fine. I would like her injury to be treated as something that pains her and has an impact. It was kind of insult to injury on the fact that she was going through active mental breakdown and the entire family kind of was whatever about it. Victor gave some support. Victor was fine, at least in the episodes that I've seen. I don't like that he didn't tell people about their mothers when he was given that information, but I get why he didn't, and it's not the thing that annoyed me most this season. I was really glummed the dance sequence was fake for several minutes of my watch through. I was genuinely upset. It was just like, oh, this is exactly what I wanted but didn't think I could have, and then they were like, just kidding. Anyway, here's them fighting for no reason. Ugh, no. Oh, I keep digressing because I kind of get distracted by my own thoughts, but back on the topic of the whole Allison Luther thing, hated that they did that. Hey writers, hated that, don't do that. As soon as Luther was like, you can't keep me here, or whatever it was that he said, and she was like, I can do what I want, I was like, oh no, because immediately I was getting WandaVision flashbacks and I was just like, oh no, please don't. And then I was actively just like begging the TV. I was just like, Allison, look at me, please, Allison, please don't do this. And then she did. It's funny because it seems like a lot of the reaction from people who decided that they now hate Allison over this, it seems like a lot of the reaction from them is, why would Allison do this? I liked Allison before, or I was indifferent to Allison before, and now I hate her because she did this. And I'm just kind of like, it's interesting because my reaction was, I hate that the writers made her do this. I'm approaching this very much from a Doyleist as opposed to Watsonian perspective, in that I'm saying, oh no, why did they think this was cool to do? I'm saying it feels ungenerous on the part of the writers to have her do this. I don't like that their interpretation of Allison having a breakdown is this. I feel like when we see the other characters have breakdowns, their actions are treated more generously than this. I don't want to keep talking about it. It just made me really upset that it happened, and I didn't want to really watch the season anymore because I was just like, oh, why did they do this to Allison? It felt like that episode of Lovecraft Country where Diane spends the whole episode running from monsters, and she is in front of people actively being chased by monsters, but the monsters are invisible to them, and it's symbolic of how Black girlhood is often characterized by just kind of dealing with problems on your own because people, like, it felt like that, but played straight and not analyzing itself at all. Anyway, Allison's just gonna kind of go through this by herself, and her siblings are gonna occasionally pay lip service to her suffering, but never meaningfully address it. It's similar to the civil rights movement thing, where they're like, oh man, it's cool how you're doing the civil rights movement. Anyway, I wanna see them care about it. I want them to care that Claire is gone. That is your niece. I need you to be like, oh man, your kid's gone? That's awful. Oh man, Allison's kid is gone. We have to go back in time and fix this, or something. Like, I need there to be something in them that says that this isn't okay, that it's happening, not just, oh, Allison's sad, sorry, Allison's sad. No, Allison isn't just sad, your niece is gone. She lost her kid. She lost her husband from the other timeline, not the divorced husband or whatever that was. It may seem like I'm just talking on Allison's behalf, but I want this for all of them. I want them all to care about Five. I want them all to care about Klaus. I want them all to care about, I guess, Luther too. I want them all to care about Luther. I want to see them hang out with Diego's kid. I know it wasn't really Diego's kid ostensibly. I get that, but it just seems like when we think it's Diego's kid, I want everyone in the family to be interacting with him because that's your nephew. And I get that all of this can be waved away and just said, oh, they have trauma, so they have difficulty connecting. Yeah, but this is being written by humans, and I want to tell the humans that I want something different out of their story. I understood that it was coming from trauma in the first 2 seasons. I want to see growth happening. I want to see change happening in them. I don't want to still see them trying to drift apart every 2 seconds. I want them to have a dinosaur friend. That's pretty much characterized my whole experience of the show since episode 1, though, is me liking the characters, liking it when they interact with each other in fun ways, but hating the way they're always moving away from each other and the plot is always moving them in directions I don't care about. Man, this used to be a really positive YouTube channel. I feel like I'm going through a dark phase where I talk about things I don't like all of a sudden. The Encanto video is already filmed and edited. It's gonna be up soon. I just had to talk about this. I guess I already made a diss track for Victor's character on this channel before, years ago, so this wasn't a surprise. I like Victor well enough now. What I'm about to say is unfair, but I also resent the relationship between Victor and Five purely because Five doesn't have that kind of relationship with anyone else in the family and I want him to. Like, I want to see Five get along with the others and be protective of the others. He has subtle moments where it's like, oh, he tells Lila that Diego cares about her, but I'm like, he is directly affectionate towards Victor, and I wish I could see that for the others. And I get that it's like, oh, they have a particular relationship. Yeah, but I want to see them have a close relationship with the others. Victor's pretty good about that. Victor has good moments with the others, not all of the others, but like good enough moments with most of the others. I want to see that for Five. I want to see Five care about the suffering of his siblings. I'd love a scene of Five babysitting Diego's kid. Just give me an episode of that. Just obviously not the entire plot of the episode, but give me like a half of the episode can be a subplot of just Five hanging out with Diego's kid and trying to keep him out of trouble. My dad was so mad at Diego's kid the whole time. Like, he was sitting there like, if you don't put that down, will you stop touching? Will you put that down? And I was just like, Dad. But yes, he should have put things down by now. You'd think that after last time he would have been like, oh, I should stop messing with stuff actually. Thank you for watching this. Needless to say, I didn't outline this video. I kind of just went at it with my whole heart. That means that later today I'm gonna think of something I forgot to say about Umbrella Academy and be sad about it. But anyway, Anyway, have a great day. If you find that the show you're watching is hurting your feelings, stop watching it. Unless it's like a documentary about a social issue, then maybe you need to kind of, although documentaries aren't under any obligation to tell you the truth, so probably do some like actual, like read some research papers about a social issue. But also, take care of your mental health. I thought about getting some ice cream today. I didn't end up doing it, but I thought about it, and that was self-care. Me saying to myself, hey, maybe I'll get you some ice cream, and then not doing it, that was beautiful. I love that. Anyway, have a great day. Love you guys. Suddenly nothing is as it was. Where are you now? Orpheus was in